Welcome. This is Gene Rowe from Lidar News. Today we're going to be interviewing Ken Comeaux. Ken is the Vice President of Operations for Survtech Solutions. He's based in Decatur, Alabama. Ken, thanks for taking the time to talk with us today. And if you're ready, we'll go through a few questions that we have prepared. First of all, how about a brief overview of your professional background and experience, especially with 3D laser scanning and LiDAR, and then maybe some information about Survtech and your role there, and with a little bit of timeline mixed in or something like that.
Okay, yeah, Gene. Well, I started back in 1988, with, it was Vernon F. Myers back then, doing hydrographic surveying.
Wow.
in the boat.
Yep.
And that was actually before GPS. We did range azimuths, range, and then, GPS started a couple of years after that. And we started using GPS, and then did that for about 10 years, a lot with Jacksonville Corps, Mobile Corps, New Orleans Corps, all over the Mississippi River, Chaffai River, all the channels south of I-10 from Louisiana, Texas state line, all the way around to Florida. Like many times I've surveyed all of the navigable channels.
Wow.
And then in 98, 3001, well, actually it was Vernon F. Myers, started, the LiDAR with azimuth. And I was one of the first operators out there. It was like three of us, but I was like the third in line. But it was way back in 98. So, and I did that for about 3 years. And then 3001 bought another one. Then they started buying film cameras, and I just started managing all of the acquisition that 3001 had until Northrop Grumman came and purchased this, and it was 3001 Northrop Grumman. Okay. And then you probably heard some stories from there, and we actually a few of us went to another company, and we stayed there for 2 or 3 years, and then I got the opportunity at Survtech to come and start up the LiDAR division with Dave O'Brien and Stacy. And so I was given the opportunity, and that was back in January 2017. And here we are, at Survtech. And right away we acknowledged that, hey, we can do aerial LiDAR. Why can't we do UAV LiDAR? And so it was a no-brainer to us to start that. And with the Fagermans being right down the road from us, and really good friends with them, and know the knowledge of Jeff, with the software, and Daniel with the integration part, and and then he's got his team behind him. It was a no-brainer.
Right.
So that's a little bit of background.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, you've mentioned Jeff Fagerman and at Lidar USA. Can you tell us about some of your investments in their technology and how that's grown over the years?
Yes. In January 2017, we actually purchased a Snoopy Series A, which has the Velodyne 32 HDL.
Yep.
And it flies on a M600. Back when we first purchased it, and it works very well. We had some learning experience to do in the front, but with our experience doing the aerial LiDAR, it was it was pretty easy, for us to get all of the workflow and the acquisition part nailed down to where we like it, and good quality data. But, that's the only sensor we have right now.
Okay.
We have, the camera, the X5 camera, we fly sometimes with it. But that's, we're currently looking at another one too.
Okay. So how did you get to know Jeff? Did you know him before you came to Survtech?
Yes, I got to know Jeff Fagerman. I don't know what year it's been, but probably 2000 or maybe a year before that.
Wow.
He used to do our AT at 3001, Burning F. Myers 3001.
Okay.
So, and I was the guy that he communicated with, like to get the EOs and all of that. So I got to know him pretty well, and him and I, were become friends. And then Daniel, started working with 3001 part-time while he was going to school in Huntsville. And so, we built this great relationship, and, that's how I got to know him.
And had you always been living in Decatur and he was living in where he is now, and you just didn't know each other? Or?
No, actually, I grew up in Southwest Louisiana, and but I was always in the field, a lot. And then whenever I moved up here to the Huntsville area, Alabama, his house was my first stop when we come up. His wife cooked dinner for me and my wife, and
Oh, wow.
we actually never met in person. So
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
pretty cool, that's the kind of relationship we have, and then, it went on from there.
Yeah, that's a great story. I didn't realize that you had all that background with him, and that you had started with Hydrographic before GPS. So those were challenging times to do Hydrographic, especially.
Those are challenging times, especially
Yeah.
like on the Mississippi River,
Oof.
Chaffalay River. It was fun though. I learned a whole lot about
Yeah.
surfing because I used to do my own traverses, and they would check it, but I did all that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very good. Let's see where we are here. Do you use any of the Lidar USA software? Does Snoopy require a certain amount of Lidar USA software to reduce the data?
Yes, we actually use ScanLook to actually
ScanLook.
process the raw and to create the LAS files, and then we just bring it into our workflow into TerraSolid. So that's pretty much the only software we use, which is a very good software. Very few people probably can write that type of software.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jeff Fagerman, he's probably one of the best software programmers in the world, and I know a lot of people know that. So he came from Intergraph and started his own business, and I just can't say it enough good about his knowledge on software.
So now you're using his software to get the point clouds off the UAV. How far into your workflow do you take that before you're handing it off to some other type of mapping, remote sensing, CAD package or something? What's the step after you use his that you go to?
Well, I mean, we bring in the raw data, and we just, pretty much, and just export the LAS file, which is the point cloud. And then from there, we take it into TerraSolid, into our original, into our original workflow that we use for the aerial, for the airborne.
Okay.
I call it airborne. It's a fixed wing,
Fixed wing. Okay. How about looking at a couple of different projects? where you might have, can you give us a little, couple of examples of some projects, recent projects maybe, or challenging projects where you've used Snoopy and gotten some interesting results, maybe saved some time, maybe got a good return on investment, got your customers to be happy with the results?
Oh yeah, we since we purchased this project, we've done hundreds of
Wow.
projects with it, and the quality of the data is just it's amazing. But you have to know how to use it, and know how to use the beams, because we're not doing mobile light, or we're doing aerial, from the UAV, so
Yep.
that's different. Uh, Yeah, we do a lot of mining
Oh.
areas in Florida.
Mm.
I ain't gonna mention the company, but we do a lot of mining jobs. And to send a surveyor out in the field to do that would take weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would be unsafe too. So we just fly over with our drone and collect 50 to 50 plus points per square meter, and just paint the ground and get a good quality data set. We do like intersections, of roads, like substations with power lines coming in. We do them quite a bit. Just all kind of different projects, solar sites, we do. And it's a tool, right? So it has to meet the need. So
Right.
sometimes we bring our airplane in if it's too big, but if it's, if it makes sense, we use the UAV.
Yeah.
So we have both tools in our toolbox.
How about the FAA restrictions, keeping the drone in sight at all times, not flying over people? Is that how much does that restrict your use of it? Is that something every single project you got to really think about that? You got to really plan ahead. You got to be sure
Yeah,
you're touching all those bases.
yes, we do. Touch on that every project. We look at the area to make sure we can fly. Looking at the lands,
Mm-hmm.
map, because it'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you, if you need to get approval, if you can fly so high, and we have a UAV manager. Him and I work in my lidar manager work close together on that. And if it's in the city, we might fly in the evening where it ain't
Mm-hmm.
ain't a lot of people, or we're very mindful on stuff like that. So there is restrictions. But I mean, you just got to work through them.
Can you imagine how much it would change if you could go beyond visual line of sight? Would that just open up all kinds of new opportunities for Survtech and for the use of UAVs?
Uh, it Yeah, I can see that when you're doing corridors and stuff,
Yeah.
and wanting to just fly.
Yep.
But to be honest with you, I would like to be able to see it, just to
Ah,
make sure it's still in the air.
okay.
So I can say that we are looking at that,
Mm-hmm.
and our actually our UAV manager has 20 years of experience flying UAVs,
Wow.
10 with the military and 10 with
Oh,
a big company.
yeah.
So we actually found him and got the opportunity to hire him, and he's actually looking into all that, and he can fly at night if he wants. He's got approval to do that.
Oh, wow.
So and that's because sometimes we need to fly at low tide. So
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes the low tide's only at night, in different time frames.
Okay.
So you have to be able to do that. But yes, flying beyond the line of sight is it's very helpful if to have that
On the right projects. Yep.
on the
Yep.
right projects. Yeah.
How about COVID? How about the pandemic? How has that affected particularly the drone side of things? Is there any direct correlation there between when, that you have to deal with that and with trying to fly these drones and keep track of all the FAA regulations too?
Actually, it's been a little challenging because we had one of our UAV pilots got corona or
Yep.
COVID, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
But actually, it hasn't been too bad because we worked through it. We have 3 pilots, so if one gets sick, we can get the other one to take the place. Actually, we've been more busy than we've ever been before.
Yeah.
So it's been very good. Hopefully it doesn't turn the other way.
Right.
But actually, our UAV department is doing very well, and we're growing, and we're constantly doing projects weekly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I've heard from a lot of the other companies in the same kind of category as yourself, is that businesses, they're just straight out. There's just a lot of business around. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, it's very good.
To wrap it up, how about the crystal ball? How about taking a look out into the future a couple of years and maybe do a little guesswork as to what you think UAVs and 3D and maybe some of the other new technologies that are coming down the pipe. What do you see coming along that you guys are keeping an eye on?
That's a great question. Coming from back when I started the Lidar and seeing where it's at now, I mean, it has come from 10,000 hertz, right? Pulse in a second, to 2 million,
right.
And it's very impressive, and it's hard to wrap your head around all that on how it works and the data quality. But there's no telling what is coming down the pipe on far as for LiDAR.
Yep.
You just don't know, but I'm pretty sure people are working on something,
Yep.
that's better than right now.
Yep.
And I can tell you one thing, that Survtech will be on the top of it.
Yeah.
When it does come out, because we have the latest and greatest, fixed wing LiDAR, T2000, and then we're fixing to get another UAV, another LiDAR for our UAV. So Survtech stays up on the technology. So I'm not worried about that part, but that's a great question, and I really can't answer it because it's going to be good. I know that.
Yeah, well, you've seen a lot of change in your career, as I have. So if you're willing to take a bit of risk on the early adoption side of things, then you can really capitalize on these new technologies.
That's right. Yeah, you definitely have to take the risk. And, when you got people that's experienced, I mean, we don't know everything. But, when you got experience and you've done it before, so it's kind of, it ain't really that risky,
Right.
You got to do your homework, before you get into it. But it's actually fun,
Right.
And, I love my job, and I like it.
They say that people think entrepreneurs, business people, are risk takers. But I've heard the other side of that is that they're really not. They know how to minimize their risk. There's still risk, but successful guys know how to minimize it through education, like you're saying, experience, all that. So I think that's true.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's come a long ways. When I used to ride in the plane, I used to be able to see the mirror going back and forth, you know, because
Right.
it wasn't going too fast. But now you can't even see it. I mean,
No.
it's so fast. You
Right.
know, it kind of blows my mind on the technology, how it works, you know, and how fast it is.
I
But
agree.
you know, it's
It's hard to understand 2 million points per second.
it is. It is. And the mirror going back and forth like 120 times a second. It
Jeez.
just blows my mind.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
really does.
Well, Ken, thanks very much for taking the time to talk with us today. I really appreciate it. And maybe we'll get to see each other face to face one of these days.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, and it was good.
Thank you.